Hey there. Well, I just wanted to do a quick video about the relationship between Asperger's and sixth sense, or intuitive gifts, psychic ability, whatever you want to call it. I always knew that I had these intuitive gifts, but I had no idea that this was like part of an Asperger's profile. And honestly, I'm not sure if it's seen with men as well as women, but I think it's fairly common with women. I know other women who have it, and I first became aware of it as being part of Asperger's from Rudy Simone's book. I'll read you what she says here. It's in the section on sensory overload. She has psychic sensitivity. I believe that in some cases our senses are heightened and are almost animal-like. We sense things. I think similar to our sense of humor, we miss the obvious and see what is not obvious to others. Very true. In my case, very true. She goes on and she talks about her own incident of dreaming about 9/11 before it happened and having a vision of the 2004 tsunami. And then she says, I believe that this is a large part of why we have difficulty getting along with others. If someone is smiling and saying one thing, but psychically we are hearing something completely different, we will get confused and want to run away. This often conflicts with appearances and what others tell me, causing me to doubt my own intuition. I usually turn out to be right. A more cynical person might call it a self-fulfilling prophecy. The misperception of this sensitivity is that we are hard to get along with. Paranoid. And then she talks about how we end up staying home a lot because of this. This is so true and so accurate for me. I can pick up things from people, and people will be like, if I say, oh, that person is XYZ, they'll be like, what are you talking about? They can't see it. That's the crazy part of this situation. You know, the thing about Asperger's, we have so many areas where, we're weaker than average, but then usually it gets compensated with something else. My personal theory is that because the part of our brain that is responsible for social understanding is not as strong, that the body compensates. And this is one of the ways that it compensates. We definitely compensate cognitively, so we try and study and understand and learn. But I think in a lot of us, it's also that the sixth sense gets kicked up. I think about it like if you injure your left ankle, then your body still wants to walk and still going to try and find a way to walk. So maybe then you might be putting more weight on your right leg. And if that injury never heals, then you're going to develop a really strong right leg. Now, you're never going to be fully in balance because ideally your left and right are equal. But you're surviving and you're walking, and it's just more difficult, but you're managing. And that's how I think about it. I don't know if it's true, but that's the sense that I get. For a long time, I knew that I had intuitive gifts. A long time before that, I didn't. For many years, I just experienced that without understanding what was happening, and that was not fun. There is this great book I'm going to show you here, and please don't be deterred by the title. It's actually really good. It's called You Are Psychic. It was out of print for a long time, and then they put it back in print. It's written by this Pete Sanders, who graduated with honors from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Very reputable. And he studied brain science. And he talks about the different types of intuitive ability. And this was so wonderful for me. It really helped explain me to myself, really. It explained how there's 4 different types of intuitive ability and that we all have it. And obviously some of us are more developed in certain ones. And the 4 types are, first of all, sight, by vision. Like with Rudy talks about having it both in a dream and having a vision of these events. By hearing, you'll actually hear the words. Like you might hear, there's going to be a tsunami. Okay. The third one would be that you feel something in your body. So you might feel what someone else is feeling, or I guess maybe you'd feel a tsunami coming. Like you would physically have those reactions. And the 4th is what we would call just a knowing, just an intuitive knowing. without so much of the sensory stuff with it. Now, me personally, I don't really have the first two. I don't have the vision or the hearing. In a way, I kind of wish I did, because I feel like those would be easier to separate from myself as a person. Like if you see something, you hear something, you know that's not you. That you know that that's from outside you. The ones I have are the feeling and the intuitive knowing. And especially the feeling part, you don't know, when you're feeling something, you don't always know that that's not your own feeling. I pick up other people's feelings. I know how they feel. It's not pleasant. And sadly, I more easily pick up the negative things. It's hard to explain. Like, all I can say is that if I think about someone, I can actually feel what that person feels. It's exhausting. And this is one of the things she says, it's the reason why we isolate. If you have that level of sensitivity, it's terrible, and if people are not in a good space, you totally pick up that, and you feel it for yourself. I don't think I'm as good at mastering it as I would like to be at all. I really could use more help in this. And then the other one is the intuitive knowing. Well, there are things that I just know. 100% certain I know them. And I don't really know why I know them. I just know them. A perfect example, I have a friend who dated somebody that she met through me. And she told me that they broke up. I knew that they'd get back together. How did I know this? I really had no reason to know this. I just knew. I didn't tell her. I don't do that anymore. I just keep it to myself. And lo and behold, they got back together. And that's just a small incident. There are things that have happened in the world, major world events, that I've known. Like, oh God, I don't know if I want to get all political. Oh, what the hell? Okay. So when there were claims of weapons of mass destruction, I knew. I just knew without a doubt that it wasn't. It was not truthful. It has nothing to do with political leanings. I just knew it. Or when it came out that there weren't, I knew it. It's kind of a curse in a way. Like, it's a useful tool, because especially if you have a deficit in other areas, the social areas where you're missing really obvious cues, you rely on this. So, like, I'll know something even though I'm not seeing the obvious indicator of that. But, sometimes you just don't want to know. I don't want to know all this stuff. The funny thing about intuitive knowing is it doesn't work that well on yourself, unfortunately. I can know about other events, I can know about other people, but I can't know about myself, and that is really frustrating. It sure would be nice if I could turn that on myself and have that sense of knowing. I tend to not have any idea about how things are going to go, or I don't know. I guess I've heard that's not uncommon. So that's it. I'm curious if you guys have any intuitive gifts or not, or are you not aware of them? Maybe you do and you're not aware. Feel free to comment below.